this case right here. And in case you didn't know, this is actually the case for the Steam Deck, which I recently got. And there's a little bit of a backstory to it, but I'll be telling you that in a little bit. So, I was trying to buy a Steam Deck, but I knew that they had refurbished ones, which are essentially like products that are damaged and sent in for repair, and then they replace whatever user had problems and fix the Steam Deck, and then they put them on sale for a lower price, but they're usually out of stock. So I joined a Discord server that would notify me whenever they were back in stock. And I wanted to get an OLED version because it's got a nicer screen, essentially, and more hertz, like the display. It's just better. And I was waiting, and I was thinking about when the next time for a restock would be, based on the last time they had restocked. And I would check like every day, nothing. And then the one day I wasn't home, of course, they dropped some. But I almost had one. Like I was on the checkout page or whatever, and if you clicked on like continue transaction or whatever, it would give you like a notification that the item's out of stock. And apparently what other people on the Discord were saying is that you had to be clicking on that thing like before the Discord notified you, because the Discord has like a 5-minute delay. So that's the only way you could have gotten one, if like you clicked a lot. But then there's also people that clicked like non-stop and they got like an error where the site would not let them check out because they've just been spam clicking. And so after almost getting it, not quite, I was like, screw this. And I just ordered it new. You gotta watch out too though, because there's a lot of scammers that sell them like used, but they'll just be like something wrong with them. I've been seeing people on Reddit, and there's one person who like tried to charge it, but it wouldn't charge unless it was shut, like completely shut off. was told that he's gonna get a horse because the guy like couldn't take care of it anymore or whatever, and he told him he'd get it for free since he couldn't like take care of it anymore. And a couple weeks go by and he's like still in touch with him until he gets like, I think they were talking about like when he's going to be coming to camp with the horse. And it got like to the day where he was supposed to be there. And then he just said like he's on the way, but his fuel ran out, and if he could pay him like $50 worth of fuel, then he would be there. And of course he didn't pay the supposedly money for the fuel because I mean, why would you, especially if you knew that you were going somewhere, not have fuel? But he was quite sad about it. I mean, he's only like, I think 16, so you definitely gotta experience those things in order to not get scammed in the future. I've gotten scammed a couple of times in my lifetime. Only one that really kind of hurt, but it was also like not that bad. It was like €100 or something that I got scammed. But I mean, to be honest, it was definitely my fault, but it was also like a really bad timing. So essentially what happened is I had bought like in-game currency, but it wasn't like official by the game, but by like another website. And then I got the currency, whatever. And a couple of days later, or that same day, I don't remember, I got a Discord DM, and the person was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, like I reported you on Steam, and be on the lookout if anybody texts you that as their first message, then definitely block them." And then they were like, "Oh yeah, I reported you by accident, I'm so sorry," and yada yada yada. And then they were like, "Oh, here I have like, or talk to this person about like getting back your account, or like removing the report," is what they said, I think. And I was like, okay, sure. And that person was acting as a Steam employee, which did exist, but they were just acting their role. So even though that person existed, someone else was essentially imitating. And they sent me like their Steam resume or whatever, and I ended up just believing it, and I don't remember exactly how they got. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just like a simple, like, let me log into your account and then I'll remove it. And of course I was like panicking because I didn't want to lose my Steam account. And I did that, and then it was funny because at the time I was living with two of my friends, and they're both huge IT nerds. And shout out, by the way, shout out. It was Jonas at that time. I like texted him, and he came into my room, and I told him the situation, and he was like, nah man, like, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you just got scammed. And I was like, oh, like, I was freaking out. But then, I think either that day or the next day, like, I had screenshots of everything. I wrote an email to Steam, and it ended up all working out, and I was only down like $100. So, you know, could have been avoided, of course, but for $100, that's a pretty solid learning experience, I would say. It probably ended up making me lose less money for the future. It's just kind of so interesting how some people are like scammers for like full-time scammers, essentially. But I mean, I do understand, like, if the situation in your country isn't good and you have to like resort to different means of getting income, but even then I feel like you're just gonna be set up for like negative karma in the future. And I mean, obviously it's like a different it's a different situation when you're like doing that to sustain a family or whatever. But even then, like, are you really like content with sustaining your family with that kind of dodgy method? I mean, I'm sure there's like, if you can scam, then like, I'm sure there's like something else you're good at that you can monetize. But it's probably also more difficult, so I don't know. Like, even if I was a great scammer, I just wouldn't scam people. Obviously, I'm just saying that with the situation I'm in, and it's difficult to really be in the position of someone that's struggling and is trying any means of getting money. the Steam Deck, I've just been playing mainly Isaac and this new roguelike called Upsalem. It's like a beat 'em up 2D roguelike. And it's a lot of fun. I do gotta say, I've been on a 7-hour train ride, and it went by pretty fast, thanks to the Steam Deck. That's one of the reasons why I got it, because like, when I'm flying to the US, it's like a 10-hour flight, and usually I just try and sleep, but I feel like gaming is definitely going to almost make it feel like time traveling. It's truly amazing how fast time goes by when there's a game that you enjoy. It reminds me of the coronavirus time, where I was like grinding Destiny 2, and that's really all I would do whenever I woke up, was play. And rest in peace, if you're a fan. I know your pain, but I am glad that I got to experience it at least. And of course I'm sad, but I'm more grateful that I got to experience it than I'm sad, so. And I don't really wish Bungie or Activision like any success in the future. Even though they did bring out like the mobile game Destiny Rising. But like still, what they did is like just unacceptable. And that's also like one of the reasons why I sort of started transitioning to like indie games and single player games, more or less. I mean, ever since like I had a laptop that couldn't really run any AAA games or live service games, I would just play indie games. But it was also always kind of weird when people would ask me like what kind of games I played. I'd be like card games or like strategy games, because like nobody would know what, like, if it was like someone I didn't know, then they probably knew like Call of Duty, Battlefield, at least heard of them, and like World of Warcraft, and nowadays Fortnite, but that was nothing back then, so. I'd always be like, card games, because I would play like Hearthstone. I'm sad I never really got into Magic, but maybe it's not too late. But you know, Hearthstone also kinda fell off, so that's whenever I really started. I guess Hearthstone fell off first, and then I played Destiny. And then that kinda went to shit too. But there's still good games out there. And I think it's funny because the main people complaining about video games and stuff, the gaming industry, are actually, most of the time, not really gamers. Because gamers are busy playing the game. So you really gotta watch out. And like a year or something ago, I was always like, I was such a doomer. Because I was like, man, there's no game to play. Like, I'm so bored. Like, I just wish this game was good, but it's not. And now I realize, like, instead of wasting time complaining and just like engagement farming in that sense, just experiment or try something new. I know for me, like, I don't quite remember like the first indie game I played. I know one of the first ones was definitely Dead Cells. And I was like, just like impressed. Because, I mean, you can basically replay it infinitely. And it just played so well, and I was like really impressed by it. But I hadn't really played anything like it before. I didn't really play any like Dark Souls or roguelikes in general. But I mean, that's just like one genre of indie games. There's like so many nowadays, especially, and they're always like coming out too. Or another good example is like Vampire Survivors. Like, it's just a pure experience, and there's not much to it, but that's what makes it so like impactful in my opinion. I'm still a little intimidated by single player, like story heavy games. But one day, especially with the Steam Deck, I think an overlooked feature of the Steam Deck is being able to stream your game on it. So what it means essentially is, if I can play a game on my PC and then have it streamed onto the deck. And that way the game won't be taking the performance of the deck, but from my PC, so I can probably run it like way better and without any stutters. But you can obviously only do that if you own a PC. And a good internet connection. And another fun fact is, I think this is my 4th console, if you want to call it that. So my first one was a PS2, which I had before my Nintendo. And I got my Nintendo at like 6. Alright, actually, the Nintendo might have been my first console. It was a DS. Nintendo DS. And then I guess I had the PS2. And then I had a Wii. And that's it. My parents wouldn't let me buy another console. No matter how much money I saved, or they would always trick me by telling me they would buy it if I lost X amount of weight. Funnily enough, I pulled through and lost like 5 to 10 kilos. I don't really remember what it was back then. And then they're just like, psych. And then they would make up like all these excuses, like, oh, if we buy you the console, then it won't end there. Like, we'll have to buy you games. And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point of having a console. But at the same time, I'm kind of grateful because I don't know, I couldn't see myself being on the console. Like, I just like the PC too much. But funnily enough, I only got my first PC at like 18, I think. 18 or 19. Which is like so late. I would have played so many games if I had it before. But, oh well. I guess when I have a kid, then I'll make sure to get them a PC at like 12, maybe. I don't know if that's too early, but maybe once they're mature enough not to download any RAM. I think that's a good age for them to get a PC. I can't really blame them either, though, because, I mean, they probably didn't like have a lot of technology whenever they were kids. So. And my dad would always be like so paranoid. And one of his main reasons for not buying me a PC is like, oh, if something breaks, then I'll have to end up returning it, which I get, but like, come on, man. Like, I'm not gonna have that mindset because I'm gonna be able to fix it, you know. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, then you would greatly support the channel if you did. And other than that, if you like this video, then you should check